Hi, welcome to Sarah Lily Makes. My name is Sarah, and today's episode is going to be my spring and summer knitting plans. So hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and like I said, today's episode is going to focus on my spring and summer knitting plans. Before I get into the meat of today's episode, I'll just have some housekeeping. Everything that I talk about today will be linked below. I will share links to all the patterns if they are available for purchase, and yarns that I'll be planning on using I'll also include below, and the shops where I purchase my patterns from, if they are not available online, I will also include below. Please feel free to follow me on Instagram and so on Ravelry as well. I will include my links here and down below as well, and I would really appreciate it if you haven't already liked and subscribed. If you could do so, that would mean so much to me. And yeah, just thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to spend time with me today, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So I love making these videos. I like talking about my plans. I tend to overplan sometimes, and more often than not, I don't get through most of the things that I talk about. So I made a winter plans video in December, and I had 10 things on there that I wanted to make, and I got 2 of them done. To be fair, I did get sick for like a few weeks at the end of the year, and just a lot was going on, and I included a lot of things. I added a lot of things too that weren't part of my plans. So I'm not going to go too into detail about that, my winter plans and reflecting on that. I feel like I could do a reflections video at some point, and I hope I could get that done. But today's episode, I'm just going to focus on spring and summer. Before I do that, what I'm wearing is the Poppy Tee, which is a pattern from Petiteknit. It's a pretty popular pattern, I think. A lot of people I know have made it, and I have knitted my version with Knitting for Olive, Merino, and Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Ballerina or Cherry Blossom. One of those, Ballerina or Cherry Blossom. But I will correct myself if I'm wrong here. And I modified this in that I did not include the pearl bump that she has at all the finishing ends. I just didn't care for the look too much, and I just didn't do it. So I eliminated that, and I'm really happy with this. I think I just made a mistake in that I picked up a couple too much stitches here on one side, and it kind of just puckers a tiny bit. But once it's on, it really, I mean, I could see it a little bit on camera, but like I just need to just adjust my shirt, my garment, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing, and now we can start on my plans. So I like to combine spring and summer, so I will kind of categorize them as such. I'll talk about my spring plans first, and then I'll talk about my summer plans at the end. Well, not at the end because I actually have more summer plans than spring plans, which is fine because we are already in spring at this point. March 25th, so. Okay. If you've followed me for a while, you might know that I have a preference for certain patterns, and one of those being Sandnes Garn. I really love their patterns, and I love their yarns and just their overall styling and aesthetic of the company as a whole. So it will come as no surprise that today's episode might have a lot of Sandnes Garn patterns, and I hope that's okay. Yeah, okay. But I do have some other things from other designers on this. So I live in Northern California, and we generally have 4 seasons, with the exception we don't really have a lot of snow, and our spring is kind of unpredictable because we're coming out of El Nino right now and a lot of rain, and it's starting to warm up, but last week we had some unseasonably cooler days. I think it was like in the 40s Fahrenheit, so I like that. I tend to enjoy, you know, moderate temperatures, leaning toward cooler temperatures, because I like wearing wool too, so, you know, it works out for me. So for my spring knitting, I like to have pieces that are transitional. They're easy to throw on or take off, you know, if it starts warming up, which it generally does, for most places, I assume. And so I like knitting a lot of cardigans. So for my spring knits, I do have a couple of cardigans that I am including on this list. And the first one that I am talking about today is the Facile Cardigan from Sandnes Garn. So I already knitted this pattern. I shared it in my last episode. I knitted the Facile Cardigan with a single strand of Ballerina chunky mohair, which is a new yarn by Sandnes Garn. This is their Ballerina chunky mohair that they have recently released, and I compared this to holding 2 strands of mohair, and I like it. I didn't really enjoy knitting with a single strand, so this project is going to be the Facile Cardigan double. So I'm holding 2 strands of the Facile Cardigan. 2 strands of the Ballerina chunky mohair. So I will grab the pattern really fast, and this is the pattern. This is the Facile Cardigan number 2004-02. So the second pattern in this collection. And it is knitted with, like I said, 2 strands, and the needle size is 9mm needles, and then 8mm needles for the ribbing on the sleeves and the bottom ribbing of the cardigan itself, the body. So I've knitted before with the 2 strands of Facile, the 2 strands of Ballerina chunky mohair on a Facile sweater that I knitted at the start of the year, and I really enjoyed that knitting experience. I didn't enjoy knitting with a single strand so much because it was just not a great tactile experience for me, and I just had trouble like getting into the stitch with chunky needles, so it wasn't the best knitting experience, but I did enjoy knitting it with 2 strands. So I'm looking forward to this garment because I like wearing I liked wearing both of those garments a lot. I have enjoyed wearing both of those garments, the Facile sweater and the Facile cardigan. I'll include pictures here of what I'm talking about as I am editing, so no worries on that. So I enjoyed wearing and I enjoyed knitting with the 2 strands. So I'm looking forward to this garment, and I am going to be using this colorway that I just shared, and it is Blossom. The name of the color is Blossom, and the yarn is 4213. So that is my first plan for spring, the Facile cardigan with double Ballerina chunky mohair. The second garment that I want to make is another cardigan, and this is the cardigan number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I have really enjoyed, so the way this garment is constructed is it is a saddle shoulder construction where you are going to be picking up and increasing on both sides of the front and the right side and the wrong side of the fabric, and it creates this panel on both sides. I haven't read too much on the pattern itself yet. I do have the pattern already though. I had purchased it a few days ago or whenever it came out, and I have knitted quite a few saddle shoulder garments before, and I enjoy the construction a lot, and I enjoy the fit a lot as well. So I have been kind of eager to cast on this because, like I said, I really enjoy cardigans for the for the transitional period right now, and I have been wearing a lot of cardigans actually just in general right now. So I will pull up the pattern and just give a little bit of specs on it. So this is the cardigan number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. It is a gauge of 16 stitches and 23 rows for a 10 by 10 centimeter swatch. And it is knitted on 5mm needles. And you are using a DK weight yarn and a fingering weight yarn held together. So I don't have the yarn that she recommends, which is, I don't want to pronounce it and butcher it, so I'll include it here. But I am using a hand-dyed yarn from Explore Knits and Fibers. So I will be using the Barceloneta Tweed in Rocky's DK and Barceloneta Suri Alpaca lace. The colorway name is Barceloneta. This was from their Spain collection that I did a pre-order on last year. And I just purchased a sweater's quantity, not really knowing what I wanted to make with it, but I knew how much I needed. So I got this yarn, and I'm very excited that I can use it for this garment because I like tweed yarns, and I love Explore Knits and Fibers hand-dyed yarn. And this is it's a neutral yarn, yes, and I talked about wanting to embrace color this year, and I feel like I've been doing a good job on that so far. But I am excited to just throw in 1 or 2 neutral garments in there as well, and this is going to be one of a few for this episode. So this is Explore Knits and Fibers, DK, and Suri Alpaca lace. So this yarn is actually going to be a little bit thinner than what is recommended for the DK yarn. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll just see how that goes. We'll just see how that goes. A little bit more about the pattern. So it is an oversized silhouette, and the chest measurement is 80 to 85 centimeters up to 140 centimeters, the bust. And it comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 sizes. So you do short row shaping at the back, and then you pick up the front pieces. Then you join after knitting down and doing some short rows. Then you join the front pieces and the back pieces. Then you work the body. Then you pick up the sleeves, and then you do the ribbing. So not basic really, but a general construction for a saddle shoulder, and then for the rest is worked as a cardigan is normally worked. I think that's it for that garment, and yeah, I'm eager for that one as well. My next garment is going to be the Hilda Sweater, which is another Sandnes Garn pattern. This is from their collection 2403, which was recently released at somewhere around February, I think. And this is the pattern. And the yarn I will be using is Sandnes Garn Sunday and Alpaca Folgetrad in the color that is the sample picture. So let me grab the yarn real fast. It's right on the floor. Okay. So this is the yarn that I will be using, which is lemon, and the colorway number is 9004. This color looks familiar. It is because I used this color on my Facile Cardigan that I shared in my last episode. I am not afraid to reuse colors, yarn colors. I'm not afraid to reuse patterns, colors. I have no qualms with reusing things that I have already used. I think if something works for me, I am not opposed to using it over. It doesn't bother me, and I don't mind if I have a garment, 2 garments of the same color, if it's a different style, if it's a different design. It really doesn't bother me. So I don't mind that I have already used this color before. I loved it, and I'm excited to have this garment because this is a sweater that is all over texture. It is a ribbed sweater, and the rib pattern is a 3x1 rib, I am pretty sure. Let me just double check. Yes, knit 3, purl 1. And it is a drop shoulder, and I will include a picture here so you can see better, but it's a really gorgeous 3x1 ribbed garment. And I really enjoy their, how Sandnes Garn does their shoulder constructions for a lot of the garments. It looks familiar to what I've done before, and I love the look of that. It's a European style shoulder, I think it's called. And let me just double check again. It actually doesn't say too much, but it looks very similar to the European style shoulder that I have done quite a few times from Sandnes Garn. So it's a drop shoulder, European style drop shoulder garment, and you knit the back, you knit down to the arm hole splitting, then you pick up stitches for the front, you join at the neck, you knit down, then you join the entire garment, knitting in that 3x1 pattern. And it just looks fun. It just, I've been really enjoying texture and cabling and just different non-stockinette knitting this year, and I feel like I've really embraced it this year and have been really enjoying it. So I'm excited to have this as well because it's just fun and it's really pretty. The recommended yarn is actually Sunday and Tin Silk Mohair, but I really like the Alpaca Folgetrad yarn because it is alpaca and it's a lot more meterage per ball, and the price is very comparable to the Tin Silk. So I just like it a lot. I don't find Tin Silk itchy or rustic or scratchy or anything like that, but just I like the alpaca a lot more because it's so much softer and it's just a fun yarn. So that is my Hilda Sweater from Sandnes Garn. And my fourth garment for spring is the April cardigan, which is a pattern by Petiteknit. And the yarn that I'm using for this is the Sysleriget sock yarn and Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Elderflower. So the Sysleriget yarn was a yarn club from June, and it's really not showing up very well on the camera, but it's a soft yellow. I've been really enjoying yellow this year for some reason, and pink too actually, but yeah, we'll get to that. We did have a pink garment at the beginning. But yeah, this is not showing up very well. It is a speckly yarn, and it is not cream as it's showing up here, but it is a soft yellow, and there are some brown and darker yellow flecks and green flecks here too. But it's really gorgeous, and I have had the Elderflower in my yarn collection for a really long time, and it pairs really, really well with this. So this is the June club from 2023, and I have 3 skeins of this, which is enough for my April cardigan. So let me pull up the pattern really fast. I thought that April cardigan would be an appropriate garment to knit for the month of April. And I have had this pattern in my pattern library for as long as I have been following Petiteknit, or when it came out, one or the other. So this is knitted with a lace and light fingering weight yarn held together, and it is knitted on 4mm needles, and the ribbing for the body is knitted on 3.5mm needles, and then I'm assuming the ribbing for the button band is 3mm needles. I am considering doing the double knit button band because I've mentioned that I really enjoy knitting a double knit button band. I actually just finished knitting a double knit button band on my Hilton cardigan that I talked about in my last episode, and I just really love it. I find it very meditative, just doing the knit, slip, and then I just like it. So I'm going to be using these 2 yarns held together, and this is another saddle shoulder type construction where you increase on the right and wrong side of the fabric, and then I believe it's like a contiguous shoulder shaping at the rest. I could be wrong. And then it ends with a raglan There's a deep V, and then the rest is knitted like a cardigan, where it's knitted flat for the majority of the garment. I'm not opposed to purling by any means. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I don't love it, but it's not the worst thing in the world for me. I am an English style knitter, so my knits and my purl, the movement is very similar. Maybe like a flick more with my hands when I'm purling, like one motion more, if that makes sense. So it doesn't bother me. I find it not necessarily boring, but yeah, I am not opposed to purling. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but it's not the end of the world for me. So I have been knitting a lot. I've been purling a lot the past couple of months. So I feel like for my next garment, it will probably be the Hilda Sweater before I jump into the April cardigan. But yeah, I would like to get this done in April, and I would like to have this completed just because I am that kind of person. Anyway, so that is my April cardigan knitted with, that I would like to knit with Sysleriget sock yarn in their June Club colorway, and Knitting for Olive Elderflower in soft silk mohair in Elderflower. So that is my spring knits, and we shall move into my summer knits now, my summer knit plans, because I haven't knitted any of these yet. Except one, I have already cast on one. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to knit this summer is the Vivienne Tee by Sari Nordland. The Vivienne Tee is an all-over texture and cable short sleeve tee knitted on fingering weight yarn with 3.5 millimeter needles. So we shall see how that goes. All over texture and cable with a fingering weight yarn on 3.5 millimeter needles has me a little bit, but we shall see. It is knitted top down. You start at the back and you pick up stitches at the front, the shoulders at the front, then you join at the underarms and you knit the body, the rest at the body and around. Then you pick up the sleeves and the neckband and work that in around. And it is a cable pattern. It looks like it's a honeycomb cable, actually. Let me see. But either way, there's a lot of texture in this garment, and I might not work on this first. So I am not listing these garments for the rest of this in any particular order. I'm just gonna knit these as I get inspiration for them. And okay, so I do not have the recommended yarn for the pattern, but I do have some Sewrella silk sock yarn that I purchased in a pre-order that they had, I think it was last year. And the color is San Francisco, which is this gorgeous purple yarn. And I live an hour from the bay, so I thought this would be a nice yarn to have in my collection. So I got this, and I have 3 skeins of this yarn for this project. I think that's way more than I need. I think I probably just need 2.5. So but it's okay. Yes, so this yarn is silk sock. It's 50% superwash merino wool and 50% silk. And I have not used this yarn before, so I am very eager to try it out and see what it knits up like. I hope this is a decent yarn choice for this project. I don't know how silk works for cables, but if you have any thoughts on this yarn for this project, I would love to hear it. I don't know how this would work up for texture and cables, but I am curious to see if it works or not. Yeah, I am excited for this project, so yeah. And I think that's it for the Vivienne Tee. My next project is the Piazza Tee, which is also another Sari Nordland pattern. And this is also another all over cable and textured tee. So I purchased this last year, this pattern, and I've had this yarn in my stash for a little while. And this is Sandnes Garn Duo, which is a cotton and merino yarn. And I had purchased this to make something for one of my kids, and I ended up not using it for that. Then I started a project with the yarn, a test knit last year that did not work out, so I ended up frogging it, and it had been sitting there. So I really want to get this used up because it's such a great summer yarn. It is Duo by Sandnes Garn, and it's a 55% cotton, 55% wool, 45% cotton yarn. And it is 50 grams for 115 meters, which is the recommended, it's not the recommended yarn, but it's, actually no. But it's a DK weight yarn, and I think it'll work really well for a summer cable tee. Because her yarn she used for the Vivienne Tee is a summer wool, a wool cotton yarn. So I think this yarn would work fine for this tee. There's less than 100 projects on Ravelry for this project, but it is DK weight, and I think it'll work up fairly quickly compared to the Vivienne Tee, which is fingering weight. Yeah. It's knitted on 4mm needles. It's an all over cable texture garment. There are some bubbles on there, and it is knitted on, did I say the needle size? 4mm needles. But it's a gorgeous garment. I'm excited to knit on that. I have really, like I said, been enjoying cables this year. And I feel like a cable tee is just it's just gorgeous. That's it. It's just gorgeous. All right. So that's it for the Piazza Tee. And the rest, no, not the rest actually. Before I get into that, I was about to say that the rest of my garments are Sandnes Garn, but there was one more. And the non-Sandnes Garn pattern that I have left is the Tee #1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So this pattern came out last year, and I got it like right away, and I just never got around to making it because I was just working on a lot of other summer knits at the time. So I just didn't get around to it. So I decided that I wanted to make it this year because it's such a gorgeous silhouette. It's a basic tee that's also another saddle shoulder style garment. And I believe the construction is very similar to the Cardigan No. 9 that I mentioned previously. And I see a lot of pattern designers using saddle shoulders within the past couple of months, and it's fun to see because it's a really fun style. It's a fun way to knit, and I like it a lot. So I'm eager to cast this on, and it is the Tee #1, like I said, and I will be using Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Cashmere, which is 80% extra fine superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% recycled nylon. So this tee is a fingering weight tee. I think you use 3.5mm needles. Let me just double check again. So you do use 3.5mm needles. My bad. So it's knitted on 3.5mm needles and on fingering weight yarn. So I recently received this. This was their February collective colorway. So this was their February collective colorway for this year. I decided to jump on their collective when it was opened at the beginning of the year and just try it out and see if I liked it or not. I've loved this colorway when it came out. So far I'm liking it. And this is, like I said, a wool cashmere yarn, and I have mentioned before that I love wool all year round. I am not opposed to using wool in the summer at all. So I am very excited for this yarn. So it is a mostly tonal colorway that is a gorgeous lavender lilac color. Forgot to mention the name of the yarn color. It is Sunday Lilacs. So very excited for this, and yeah, So that is the last of my non-Sandnes Garn patterns, and moving into the Sandnes Garn summer patterns now. So yeah. I have mentioned that I love Sandnes Garn's patterns, so we'll just get straight to the point. There are 5 patterns from Sandnes Garn that I want to knit this summer. I have already casted on one of them, so I'll share that one first. And it is the Minnie Dress. The pattern is 2404, collection 2404, pattern number 2. And I am knitting the Minnie Dress with Sandnes Garn Tin Lina and Mandarin Petite. And when I talked about this last, I was here. Right here. Right here. So I have been working on the body of this dress. It is knitted from the bottom up. Then you split for the front and the back, the front piece and the back piece, and then you split the front panels and the back panels, and then you join at the front. Then you knit an I-cord and I-cord armholes. So I prefer, for anything that has spaghetti strap or thin straps, I prefer knitting it from the bottom up instead of top down, because knitting top down, you will have 4 pieces working simultaneously, and then you're joining it, and I find it very fiddly and cumbersome, and I don't enjoy that. So I very much prefer bottom up. However, that's just going to be a lot of stockinette going up and then separating, but I think it'll be fine. I'm okay with that. So far, I have been okay with it. So that is the Minnie Dress. Like I said, I'm knitting it with Tin Lina and Mandarin Petite. Tin Lina is a 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen yarn. And Mandarin Petite is a 100% cotton yarn. The Tin Lina is a fingering weight yarn, and the Mandarin Petite is also a fingering weight yarn, but I think it borders more on sport. But it's kind of between fingering and sport. So that's the Minnie Dress. The next garment by Sandnes Garn is probably a pipe dream, and I do not think that I will get this done. I'm not... I probably won't even start on this, but it's something that I really think is really fun and really cute and just a perfect summer knit, and it's the Sia Dress. So you might be thinking, well, isn't that like identical to the Minnie Dress? But no, it's not. The Sia Dress is a fingering weight dress, knitted from the bottom up, same construction, just on fingering weight yarn. So I loved the sample, as I normally do, and I bought some black yarn, some black fingering weight yarn, because why not? And yeah, if I don't get to the Sia Dress, it will be fine, and if I do get to it, it would be fantastic. But either way, that's on my plans. Probably won't get it done. Either way, it will be fine. The next thing that I want to make is, it comes as a set, but I'm not planning on making it as a set. It's the Millie skirt and shirt, or sweater. This garment reminds me very much of the My Favorite Things knitwear blouse #1. And I really love the sample also, as I always do. It's knitted on white, and I realized I have a lot of creams and off-whites and beiges, but I don't have anything that's actually white. So I am planning on using the Sandnes Garn white, which is so blowing out. And it's the color number 1002, and I'm pretty sure it's the color that's the sample. Yes, white, 1002. So I am going to be making the long sleeve sweater, And how it's constructed, it's a boat neck style sweater, drop shoulder almost. You knit the back, you pick up for the front, you knit down. But the sleeves are extra wide, which I think is fun. It's not what I normally reach for. I prefer tapered sleeves, but I've been enjoying some wide sleeves lately. So the sleeve, you increase your needle size to get the wider sleeves, and I think that's fun. I feel like I've seen it in another pattern, but I can't place it. I'm not sure if it is the blouse number 1, but there's another pattern that you increase the needle size to get the wider, bigger gauge. And I would really like to have this garment in my wardrobe. Now, the other thing that I want to make is the Millie skirt, which is the skirt pictured here, but the long version. Sandnes Garn has 2 versions in the pattern booklet. A long version and the mini skirt short version, which I am not much of a short skirt person. I like long skirts, and I only have one of the balls of yarn here, but I talked about this in my last episode as a plan, and this is Blossom. This is the same color as the Facile yarn that I plan on using. So the Blossom yarn, the number is 4213, and it is knitted, the skirt is knitted top down. You start at the waist, and then you work your way down, increasing, and it's just going to be another basic stockinette garment, which will be very straightforward and mindless and exciting. If I'm doing a lot of cable garments, I think I'll have that as like my side garment. As my side knit. Sorry. And the last thing that I want to make is the Cornelia Tee. And that is also by Sandnes Garn, and it is a gorgeous all over lace t-shirt. I will be using the spring green color from Sandnes Garn, Lena, and the color is number 8733. So this is a gorgeous all over lace t-shirt, and I really like that the main features besides the lace is the 2x2 rib, which I have not seen a lot of on spring garments, but that's fine. I think it's fun. I don't want to do the skirt. I just want to make the t-shirt, and it is knitted top down with the pattern, the diagram that they provide in the booklet here. And then you cast on, you work back and forth using short rows, but you create slanting shoulders, and then you continue back and forth until you reach the underarms, then you pick up for the front, a drop shoulder construction. Very straightforward using the diagram. I have knitted 2 other Sandnes Garn lace garments, and I really enjoyed them. I got a lot of wear out of them over the past couple of years, and I love it. And I am really excited for this because I love having at least one lace garment in my queue for the summer. A lace t-shirt or something like that. So that is my spring and summer knitting plans video. I hope you found today's video enjoyable. If there's something in here that you have any questions about, please feel free to ask. I will be more than happy to respond to you and leave an answer to the best of my ability. I know that was a lot, and I probably will not get to all of it. That's just a disclaimer. I just overplan. I enjoy planning and making these videos. I feel like it helps me somewhat focus on and stay consistent with what I actually want to make. But even so, I always end up joining a test knit or finding something else that catches my eye, and you know, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, like I said, those are my spring and summer plans, and I think that was 12 things altogether, which isn't bad. For 6 months, for a period of 6 months, I think that's fine. That's manageable. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see at the end of the season what I get to, what I don't get to, what ends up getting done. It's always exciting to make these videos and put it out there, and just for the fun of it. This is just for fun. you know? Don't hold me accountable to all of these garments, please. I enjoy doing this, and yeah, I enjoy knitting it too, so let's hope I get some of it done. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. I hope it was enjoyable. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. And I would love to hear feedback, what you're planning on working on this spring and summer. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Happy knitting. Bye.